made and ate dinner, and it was like super mid, which kind of sucked. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little upset about it. My hair is wet. I have no eyelashes on. Let's get this freaking party started. I'm gonna wait for a couple people to show up. We have a fair amount of slides tonight. There's like low-key a lot going on. This story's actually really, really sad. But I put a lot of memes in it just because to help us get through. My hair is making me cold. I think I might need to put it up. Ugh, I just feel strange right now. I feel weird. Do you guys feel weird? Hi from YouTube. Hi. My computer says I have a text message, but I literally don't. So what's that about? But yeah, I'm mad that the dinner was mid. Michael, thank you for subscribing. Also, my back has been killing me. I don't know what I did to myself. And ironically, the only time it doesn't hurt is when I'm exercising. So that's awesome. So finally back after a few weeks gone. So glad to be here. I'm glad you're here. That didn't work. Like the way I just put my hair up is not where I want it, but no, I have to redo it. I'm sorry, I can't. My hair is wet too. Slay hair wash day. I wasn't even going to wash my hair today, but I remembered I'm getting a spray tan tomorrow, and I noticed that if I wash my hair when I have a spray tan, it like really makes the spray tan go away, especially like on my back and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I guess I should wash it today. Finally started watching VPR. Thank you, Mr. Redacted. They're all so messy and terrible. I'm so invested. I'm always thinking about VPR. Like, I'm always simply going to be a part of VPR. Also, you guys, why isn't... I can't send a message in the YouTube chat. I can only send it in the Twitch chat. That's weird. Megan LaFlame, thank you for subscribing. 39-month streak. Okay. Found out today my city has free public transportation. That makes you, in some ways, like the top 1% of Americans, because most Americans don't have access to that. It's probably even less than 1% of Americans have access to that, if I had to guess. I love how YouTube makes it easier to watch on TV. So true. So true. Anyway, let's freaking do this thing. We have a lot to talk about, like I said. There's a lot going on with her. That's just what it's going to have to be tonight. Does it look a little odd? Yeah, but it's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so when I was making this, I just want to get this disclaimer out of the way. It was very difficult to find good sourced information on this woman with like receipts, timeline, all that. It was very difficult to find that. So a few things here, I got 2 different accounts. I tried to just put both of them in where it was like what age something happened, what year something happened, what the gossip was about something, what was true, what was just gossip. Because a lot of what I was reading was like people talking about her on blogs and things that are just like not as reliable. So I tried to do my absolute best of making sure everything in here is like factual and actual. But if some gossip that's not true slipped through the cracks, I deeply apologize. Barbara, I apologize to you if this is upsetting to you. She is not with us, but she's with me, I feel. So let's go ahead and get into it, and let me stop prefacing everything. Also, I'm really excited for next week, the influencer apology videos. Yes. So, poor little rich girl. Let's get into who is this lady. So, number one, absolutely gorgeous. Her name is Barbara Woolworth Hutton. She was born in 1912. She passed in 1979, so that's shocking that she's no longer with us. Sorry. She was an American debutante, socialite, heiress, and philanthropist. That's a resume I would love to have. She was dubbed the poor little rich girl when she was basically given this super lavish debutante ball during the Great Depression. Not the best look, but she had a really, really notoriously troubled private life, like family, relationship, all of that. So that's the TLDR. If you're just joining us and you're like, I don't know if I want to watch this. That's what we're talking about, so I hope you want to watch it. Stream night as a part of my weekly routine makes me feel safe. I'm glad. Y'all be on your best behavior. My neighbors are camped out across the street from my house waiting for a parade, and they can see us. Hi, neighbors. So let's talk about her early life. She was born in New York City, and her mother is Edna Woolworth. She is the only child of her mother. That is her mother with a koala bear. I'm just now realizing that's a koala bear. Okay, probably ethically questionable, but that's her mother with a koala bear. If that doesn't say money, I don't know what does. In the 1900s at that. Edna Woolworth, who was born in 1883, is the daughter of Frank Woolworth. Frank Woolworth is important. This will be in the game. He is a very important person in tonight's stream. Not to center men, but he is important in this stream. It is a koala, because I just grabbed the picture and was looking for her face, and I just assumed it was like a dog or something. Like or a rabbit. I was like, yeah, her with an animal. Like I didn't really like until right now, but like that is fully a koala. Koalas live in Australia. How did it get to New York? Like, this is money, I'm telling you. So the grandfather of Barbara is Frank Woolworth, the grandfather on her mother's side. Frank Woolworth is the founder of the Woolworth 5 and dime stores. This guy has money. Money, money, money. So again, we're going to go like backwards in time, but I feel like all of this is incredibly relevant. So Frank Winfield Woolworth is an American entrepreneur and the founder of the F.W. Woolworth Company, which is a variety stores known as 5 and dimes, 5 and 10 cent stores. So think like the OG dollar store. Like this guy is the original Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, Dollar General. Like he is the OG. It featured a selection of low-priced merchandise. He pioneered the now common practice of buying merchandise directly from manufacturers and fixing the selling price on these items rather than haggling. So he kind of like invented retail that you and I know today of like convenience store, like random shit stores. He was born in 1852. Like, I know to us, it's like, what do you mean they didn't have stores? But they, like, didn't. Not in that way. He was also the first to use self-service display cases so that customers could examine what they wanted to buy without the help of a sales clerk. So instead of, like, the display being, like, inside something that needs to be opened by someone, they just have it out. Kind of like now if you go to, like, Saks or Nordstrom's, like the stuff is out. You can touch it, you can feel it. You can ask the person if you need like a specific size or something like that, but like you can touch the items. Like you can look at them before you actually buy it. From my understanding, stores were more like a pharmacy type where they had everything behind the counter. Exactly. So he's like one of the OGs that's like, let them touch it. Let them get their grubby little hands on everything. So some lore about his rise to wealth. He was born in Rodman, New York to John and Fanny. And like one thing about me, I simply need to know who your great-grandparents are. I think it's so relevant. Like the trauma that your great-grandmother had is actually so important for me to understand who you are as a person. So this is, again, Barbara's grandfather. His parents are John and Fanny. His brother was also an entrepreneur. His parents were devout Methodist, and they were sympathetic to the northern side during the Civil War. So, you know, that's not shocking. They live in New York. It's a Civil War. They live in the north. And they raised their son with those beliefs. Their paternal ancestors were English farmers who left England around 1665 and settled in the Massachusetts Bay Area. His mother's parents were the McBriars, Scots-Irish from Down Ulster. I'm Scottish, so I'm sure that's offensive. Who had come to the United States in 1827. So, like, these are Northeastern people. Like, that's what they are. He had like a relatively normal family and then created this insanely successful business. So at the age of 4, he told his parents he was going to become a peddler. A peddler is like someone who sells goods, like, hey, you want some cigarettes? Like that type of thing. He and Charles would play store and Frank would set up the merchandise to sell to his brother. So he literally like was fucking built for this. He finished his schooling at age 16. So he applied to a lot of shops and was rejected. Back then, that was a good job. Then he went to business school. He went to business school because he got a loan from his mother. So, like, not a Nepo baby. I was kidding. But they're not poor people. Like, this man is not from poverty. Like, he went to school till he was 16, which means back then you're not poor. If you go to school till you're 16 in the 1860s, 70s, you're not poor. So he went to business school. In 1873, he worked as a stock boy. I guess you have to go to business school for 2 terms to become a stock boy. And this gave him the experience to start up his own business. He borrowed some of the money for it. He borrowed $300. In today's money, that's about $10,000. And opened a 5-cent store in Utica, New York It failed within weeks. So perfect. Then he opened his second store in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where he was very, very successful. And this is how he became rich. And then, yeah, it was this crazy successful, not department store, but this crazy successful, just like variety store that had just a bunch of random stuff. So at the time of his death, his worth was $76.5 million, or in today's money, I don't even know how to say that number. Is that a billion? Someone say that number for me. Or 1,214th of the US GNP. And then that's his building in New York. It's a very, very famous looking building. I don't know what it is now, but it was the Woolworth building originally. You can see some pictures of the stores. 1.4 billion. That's what I thought. So in today's money, he's worth 1.4 billion. So literally like would be one of the richest men of society. And I'm not being dramatic by saying that at all. So this is their mansion. Obviously, it didn't look like that when they lived in it, but it's giving wealth. Like wealth. Like when I tell you wealth, this is like an amount of money that is unfathomable to you and I. You know what I'm saying? It's just unfathomable to you and I. So this is a picture of that mansion, but obviously it's like not as clear as the first one. This is on Long Island. Trillion? Was it trillion? Are you sure? I don't know. I'm bad at math. Straight up, I refuse to buy it. I'll get it delivered somewhere else. Oh, I think I missed a conversation. But anyway, this is one of their houses. No, I think it is billion. I think you're right. Here is one of their... Bold of you to assume I don't have billions. If there are any billionaires watching me right now, 1, everything I've ever said about you was a joke. I was joking. 2, one way that I think you could really improve PR for yourself is to go back to like the European times where the aristocrats who had all the money would like hire an artist just to like do art and like make things. And they got to be like, yeah, that fucking famous artist lives in my house. And they do shit. Or like a court jester, if you will, the way the kings had. I'm saying if any billionaires are on here, you could give me a stipend that I would spread into the community through joy. You know what I mean? Y'all should be donating $1 billion to Dr. Xiaofian if you're here. Exactly. And my demographic is not billionaires. Like, they want to stay as far away from me as humanly possible. I volunteer as court jester. No, I really do. Like, I think that could be a fun time. But anyway, this is another one of their mansions. This is on 5th Avenue. 5th Avenue is one of the most expensive streets in New York to this day. And they had a whole ass mansion on it. So here's some other family lore. In 1876, Woolworth married Jenny. They were the parents of a couple kids, Helena, Jessie, and Edna. Edna is Barbara's mom. So this is like her mom's family. So Woolworth died from, and we're speeding ahead and then we'll go back. Trust me, it'll make sense. So Woolworth died in 1919, just shy of his 67th birthday. It was septic shock from an infected tooth. Going to the dentist is so important, and even the richest people of the time didn't have access to the dental care that we have today, or most people should have, but they don't because our country sucks. But anyway, what was I saying? So he died not young for the time. Like 67 to us seems kind of young to die, but keep in mind, they didn't really have like medical care back then. And he was worth like a ton of money, a ton of money. So he died when Barbara was a child. So we'll get into like her family and her being born and stuff in a second. But when he died, he had, like we said, $76.5 million. In today's money, that's over $1 billion. He had over 1,000 stores. And when he died, he had not signed the new version of his will. Like, I guess he redid his will, but he didn't sign it. So his mentally handicapped wife got the entire estate under his older will. And then when she died, her estate was worth a ton of money as well. Obviously, it went from 76.5 to 57.5, but some years went by, not that many. But anyway, that's the family lore of like where the money came from, why they have the money, the timing of the money, how much money is it. I felt like that was really, really important for you to understand, even though it was crazy that we just went through her entire family tree. So one thing that I didn't like is I was like mentally handicapped. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? And I really couldn't find much at all. Like, I couldn't find much at all. Her name was Jenny Creighton. These are the only 2 pictures of her that I can find. This is a New York Times article from 1919. Woolworth died, the will unsigned. Death came so sudden that the document long under consideration was not executed. Demented wife gets all of the estate of deposed will made in 1889. So, like, some people are saying mentally handicapped. Some people are saying demented. And exactly, that could mean literally anything historically. Like, the way that women were treated historically, this could mean that maybe she had like PTSD from something. Maybe she had an injury and truly was like mentally handicapped. Maybe she had like a drug issue. Maybe she was considered in hysteria. Maybe she had a lobotomy. Maybe, like, there's literally so many things that could have been here, but regardless, it does not seem like the family dynamic is great, is what I'm going to say. She just had ADHD. No, literally. Like, I feel like if I was born at that time, they would not be happy with me. This is one thing I could find about them. This was their first home, so it seems like a lot more humble than the other ones because he truly built his wealth. Like, not that that makes being a billionaire good or like fair, but he did not inherit the money. He was not raised in wealth and money and things like that. This was his first house that he bought with his wife where their oldest daughter was born. And like, it's a very, very nice house that looks like the house of someone successful, but that's not a billionaire's house. And then he is buried in the Bronx in New York City in the family tomb. That's like huge. It's literally a building. So, moving on from the business and the grandparents and all that, let's talk about Barbara's mom and Edna. Clearly I misspelled that there. So that was info on on Barbara's grandfather, where the money came from, all of that. Frank and Ginny had Edna in 1883. This is a picture of their 3 daughters. The picture on the right shows the 3 Woolworth daughters. On the left is Edna, the center is Helene, and the youngest Jessie is on the right. Each was the apple of the father's eye, and the 5 and 10 magnet showered them with gifts collected on buying trips around the world. So it seems like these girls did grow up with money, like I said. So rich hot childhood type vibes. He was very determined that each of his daughters should marry well. I love that there's 2 old names and 1 modern one. So like a man of his time, he's not thinking about his daughters going to college, building their own life, having autonomy. No. He's like, you need a good husband. You need a wealthy husband. And he was like, I want you to marry European royalty. He never achieved the European royalty, but he did make sure all 3 of his daughters were married to very, very wealthy young men. This is very indicative of the times. And I'm sorry, I just like really love extended family lore. I think it's really important. So Helena married Charles McCann and lived in Long Island. She and her husband spent their inheritance very wisely, and they were pillars and benefactors of the local community. They had 3 children, a boy and 2 girls. Jessie married James Donahue and had a son named Jimmy. Both husband and son enjoyed the jet-setting life and died young. Jessie, too, enjoyed the high life, collected Royal Railroad carriages, whatever that means. Both Helene and Jessie were granted directorships of the company, but took little daily interest in the running of the firm. So that's like the 3 daughters of the rich guy. Edna married Frank Laws Hutton, an accountant and an advisor to her father. So, rest in peace, Big Kathy. You would have loved this. No, she really would have. Like, the parallels are striking here. And I was thinking, I'm so glad you brought that up, because when I was making this, and I think I put it in here later, Barbara is low-key giving Paris Hilton. Barbara is low-key giving Paris Hilton, like, of these times. So Edna marries Franklin Laws Hutton, who works for her dad and sucks, basically. I couldn't find a picture of them together. Here are the 2 pictures I found of them. By all accounts, this was a loveless marriage, which Frank Woolworth did his best to prevent. So I don't really know why she married this asshole her dad didn't like that worked for him. Like, I feel like we've all dated an asshole our parents didn't like. We've all been there. But if he works for them, couldn't he, like, fire him? Like, don't date my daughter or I'll fucking fire you. I don't know. It just seemed like he didn't try that hard to prevent it. He only warmed up to the union when he first met his granddaughter, Barbara in 1912. So this is the family that she's being born into. Clearly, there's already some dysfunction here. We have a mentally handicapped / demented mother, whatever the fuck that means. The father working a lot, tons of money, raised in wealth. They have this daughter. This daughter now has Barbara and is in a marriage to this guy that kind of sucks. So things are not great from a personal perspective, even though we have like money for days. So it's not like they had great employment laws back then. Just fire him. Like, he probably could have gotten away with killing him. If we're being honest, if we really want to be honest, he could have gotten away with killing him. Have you guys seen Deadwood? Very good show. It says a lot about this. So this is confusing, but basically everyone's a rich white person. So Barbara's father, Franklin Laws Hutton, was a wealthy co-founder of the E.F. Hutton Company that he owned with his brother, which was a respected New York investment banking and stock brokerage firm. So, cool. And she was the niece by marriage to Marjorie Merriweather. So she's like related to this lady that's a serial heiress. Like, I guess... was she like the Kellogg person? Tons of people in her family are rich as fuck. Was Edna the favorite, but her dad hated her husband? It didn't say she was the favorite. It said like he loved all his daughters and wanted them all to marry rich guys. So I don't know. She was the middle child, I think. Maybe that's it. But yeah. So another actress heiress, Dina Merrill, was a cousin to Barbara. Like she's at the top of the top. Nadinia is a pretty name. Yeah, you're right. It's hard to believe they had finance bros way back when. When I tell you that this country was basically founded by finance bros, and doesn't that make everything make a ton more sense? Think about the New York Stock Exchange. Think about how pivotal the New York Stock Exchange has been in the early days of our country. Spooky. Spooky, spooky, spooky. I believe it's Post cereal. I can't tell if you're saying that, like, is that real cereal? I've never heard of that. So Barbara is in this Merriweather Post, so I'd assume the Post cereal. What is this? You guys all know about this cereal and you weren't gonna fucking tell me? Let me Google it. I just got my nails done, so I can't really type right now. Oh. I understand. I've seen that. I do know what you're talking about. Here, I'll show you guys. Okay, it's like basically as big, if not bigger than Kellogg's. So you see how like all these different brands say Post on them? Like Fruity Pebbles, Honey Bunches of Oats, like all these different brands have Post on them. S'mores, fucking cereal, they have everything. Yeah, that makes sense. So her family is not like the only people with money in their circle. Their extended family has money from different sources. Like they're a rich New York family. Like if this was the early 2000s, Edna would have been on the Real Housewives of New York is what I'm trying to tell you. So to reiterate, Barbara is who we're talking about. Her parents are Edna, who comes from the rich Woolworth family, and Franklin, who comes from him being an investment banker and all of that stuff. So, a very, 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 very sad start to life for Miss Barbara. Barbara is born in 1912. Edna Hutton died in 1917. So she lost her mother when she was like 4 or 5-ish. We don't really know. I've seen so many different accounts of this. Her mother died at age 33 from suffocation due to mastocytitis, which at first I was confused. I thought this was mastitis, which is like when you're breastfeeding and your titty is like clogged, I guess. I don't know. But it's not. I looked it up. This is a bacterial infection in a bone that is behind your ear and can develop as a complication of an ear infection, and then the infection can spread to the bone. So like very tragic random thing from an ear infection. But there is a rumor that she committed suicide by poison in despair over her husband's cheating. So not great. Not great. And the reason this rumor really persists is because the coroner decided that they did not need an autopsy. So she dies from this like ear infection, but they never did an autopsy. So like if you never looked in her, how'd you know that then? To make matters worse, Barbara discovered her mother's body. Ugh. Yeah. Tough situation. We need to start calling cheating men philanderers again. No, we really, really do. So, not good. Not good. Really not good. Not a great start to life at age, I think she's 5 at this point. This says 4, but she was born in 1912. When's her birthday? Whatever, you get the point. Very young, discovering your mother's body. Not ideal. Not ideal for sure. A different source said this. Edna Hutton committed suicide in 1918. So you see the years are different on different sources. And Barbara found the body when she was just 6 years old. Is she 4, 5, or 6? I don't fucking know. Regardless, I think it's going to be pretty traumatic. For the next year, Barbara spent much of her time in the care of her grandpa, Frank Woolworth. That Frank. Yes. Living in the opulent Winfield Hall on Long Island, so that giant mansion. Her mom dies and she moves into this mansion with her grandpa. Barbara spent much of her childhood away at boarding school. Also, her grandpa died a couple years after her mom. Her mom died in 1970. Her grandpa died in 1919, before she was even 10. So she loses mom and grandpa within 2 years of each other before her 10th birthday. She spent much of her childhood at boarding school, and she had a very special relationship with her grandfather until he passed away. But what this meant is that she got basically double inheritance super quickly at a very young age. So at a very young age, she became like insanely wealthy. You see why I had to show you the entire extended family, yes? You understand. So even though her dad was not great at parenting, like he was not really involved in her life, he just like always sent her to be with like nannies or boarding school or whatever, he was a really, really good investor because again, that was literally his job. And so when most of the family, her extended family, lost all of their money in the crash of 1929, he actually made money during this crash because he was very, very good with his money. And so like but some very smart people who are good investors were shorting stocks, which means like betting the stock is going to fail basically. So I assume he was doing that, or maybe investing in companies that are kind of like recession and depression proof. But this like horrible turn of events, and exactly perfect way to sum it up, all that money doesn't mean anything when you're 10 if there's no one there to care for you. She basically has like no family that cares about her, but is insanely rich, and it's the Great Depression. Awesome. Actually, it was the 1920s at this point, but the Great Depression is coming. So her mom dies when she's like 4 to 6-ish, and she's living with family members and in boarding schools. And she was primarily raised by governess. A governess is a woman who is employed as a private tutor and teaches or trains a child in their home. So kind of think like a teacher nanny person that lives there. Barbara Hutton attended Miss Hewitt's classes, now the Hewitt School on New York's Lenox Hill neighborhood, and Miss Porter's School for Girls in Farmington, Connecticut. So she, like I said, is very much in boarding schools, very much with nannies. She was a very, very introverted child, and she had very limited interaction with children of her own age. She really has like probably no socialization at all, if you think about it. Like, she probably really struggles to form like close relationships with people because like everyone she had a close relationship with died, and she's like 10. So that's probably not good. Her really only friend was her cousin Jimmy, who was the son of her mother's sister. I don't know why like none of the aunties are really like stepping up to the plate, even though they have other children. It seems like that would make it easier. Like, what's one more? You know what I mean? I can get if you're like living single and free where you're like, I don't want to take on this orphan. Well, not orphan. Her dad's alive, but he kind of sucks. But if you like already have 2 kids, just bring her in here. Like, what's the difference? Unfortunately, her father was very preoccupied with his women and alcohol. So he was not very present in his daughter's life. And then shortly after Edna died, he married Irene Bode, who was apparently a classic fairy tale stepmother, and really just wanted to exploit her stepdaughter's wealth without having her in the way. Let's just say her stepdaughter, not his. But yeah. So little Barbara grew up in the home of her maternal grandparents, and then after both the grandparents were dead in 1924, because remember, mom dies 1917 or 18, grandpa dies 1919, mentally ill grandma dies in 1924, so that's when she stopped living there. At this point, she's 12. She is entrusted to a paternal aunt, so her dad's sister, and to the care of a nanny named Tiki. I have a feeling that's racist. Like, I have a feeling that that's not that person's government name. And that person remained by her side for over 40 years. And this is a quote from her. She said, "I was trying to buy the attention of my classmates. I used to give them pearls, rubies, and dolls dressed in Lanvin instead of conquering them. But instead of conquering them, I ended up being robbed and despised." So, like, horrible childhood. Horrible, horrible, horrible childhood. She's literally giving, like, jewels to other children to try and make friends. I think that says so much about, like, her psyche and the way that she has developed in the world that she's in, with all of this death and all of this despair and all of this money. Like, so much money. Lanvin is a designer. Yes, I thought that. So she's at boarding school. Her dad is out whoring, drinking, and getting remarried. That's pretty much how she grew up. I would be persuaded by a jewel. I could not find many photos of her as a child. She's very young here. She's only 3, but she just looked so cute, and she's at this little dog show. This is before everything bad happened. Doesn't she look nice and innocent? I told you all tonight was going to be sad. This is a portrait of her in 1925, so when she's 13. I know that it's a painting, but you can literally see how depressed she is. Like, look at her dark circles and just, like, look how sunken her eyes are. And, like, not to be like, oh, you should be beautiful when you're living through trauma, but I think that, like, you can just tell, like, I know it's a child to a 13-year-old, but even in a painting, you can just tell that she has had, like, trauma. Like, the body keeps score. I'm guessing that's how adults in her life interacted with her. Exactly. All of that loss, and so easy for adults to explore her. How was that only 100 years ago? We've aged millenniums. Being neglected while being wealthy is still neglect. Goes to show how she was raised and told how to live. Her eyes, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, she looks beautiful here, but she looks very sad. She looks sad. And this is the year after her grandma died. So now she has lost mom, dad, and her grandmother. And she's 13. She looks very haunted. So more on her investor father. In 1924, when Barbara was 12, that's when she got the inheritance, which was $26.1 million in today's money, or in 2023 money. That's $368 million. She also got another $2.1 million in stock that was placed in a separate trust, and both the trusts were administered by her father. So one thing I will say about her father, like, he does suck, but he didn't take his daughter's money or let his wife take the money. So, like, I guess he has that going for him. In accordance with New York's high society traditions, Barbara was given a lavish debutante ball on her 18th birthday, which was in 1930. So literally when the Great Depression is, like, ravaging our entire country. They decide to throw this huge ball with the Astor families, the Rockefeller families, other elites. They had Rudy Valley there, who was insanely famous, Maurice Chevrolet, who I don't know, Chevalier, I don't know how to say that. The ball was $60,000 during the Great Depression. Normally I'm good about the inflation calculator, I missed that one. Let me look it up right now. 1930, 60,000. So that is a $1.1 million 18th birthday party. They spent $1.1 million on her 18th birthday party while the Great Depression's going on. Awesome. It's literally the Gilded Age. Genuinely. They had a lot of public criticism. The newspapers were not happy about this. Like, people were very, very angry, so they sent her to Europe. They were like, everyone hates you, are bad, because I don't think this was her idea. They're like, we're gonna have you tour around Europe. It's gonna be a great time. We'll just wait for this to blow over. And her family lives on the Upper East Side, so, like, exactly the vibes you're picking up on. I don't know if this pic is real because I found it on Instagram, so I don't know if this is accurate or not in any way, shape, or form. Couldn't possibly care for her, but here's a fat birthday party for you and all the friends you don't have. Yeah. And a debutante is like, hey, do you want to marry her? Like, the point of a debutante ball is to, like, introduce the young women to the community because young women aren't allowed to leave the house at this time. So, like, no one knows who they are. But people do. So they're like, hey, here's her, just so you guys know. And then it means, like, sometime in the next couple of years, she'll probably get married. Because keep in mind, it's the 1930s. So by the time of her 21st birthday in 1933, her father had increased her inheritance to $42 million. So it started with $26 million in 1924 and is now $42 million in 1933. So say what you will about Franklin, and I've said horrible things about him and will continue to, you cannot say he's bad with money. To turn $26 million into $42 million is impressive, period. But to do it in the Great Depression, literally, like, she had it, like, kind of at, like, the height of the no, her dad's not dead. He just sucks. The dad's not dead. He's just an alcoholic and with women. The grandpa is dead. You're thinking of the grandpa. The grandpa is dead. I keep calling her an orphan because I think she lives an orphan life, but yeah. So she also got $8 million from her mother's estate. She became one of the wealthiest women in the entire world. So if you forget about him covering up Edna's suicide, if you put that aside, he's not the worst dad. If you put that really, really far to the side. So the rest of this is a lot. I'm going to read you a summary before we dive in to the rest of this young woman's life. I feel like I've really painted a good picture of you of her childhood and her family and her development and the way that she sees the world because of this fucked up way she was raised. So much has been written about her lifestyle. Woolworth staff rarely have a good word for her, yet to set the record straight, she never had anything to do with the company. Her shares in the company were sold before she even turned 18. So she truly has no genuine connection to the company. Aside from the fact that all of her money is because her grandpa started this company, she's not a voting member. She does not hold stock in the company. She does not work there. So the staff of the company is always saying bad things about her, but she quite literally does not know them. So she was married 7 times. We all make mistakes, and most of her husbands were interested in her fortune, not so much her well-being, and no one had taught her to be a philanthropist, so she just, like, showered money on literally anybody, because, like, to be a philanthropist, that means you give money to charity. You have to, like, learn how charities work, and, like, you have to figure out where's the money going and make sure it's being used correctly. Like, it's not hard work, but you do have to know some stuff to be able to do it. So she paid millions for investment advice and fund management, and she always lived her, like, was trying to live out her childhood dream of finding a fairy princess and trying to find Prince Charming, but none of her husbands really met the standard. Are you ready? I hope you're ready, because this is a lot. If I had that money, I would disappear like a puff of hookah smoke. So let's get into her first husband. Her first husband is Alexis Mdivani. He used her great wealth to his advantage. He was a social climber. He was a member of the exiled Georgian nobility with the rank of Asnari, which is untitled nobility, so he's not even like a high up nobility. He and his siblings were a part of the marrying Mdivanis from Georgia who claimed to be princes after they fled in 1921 due to the Soviet invasion of Georgia. So they're basically scammers. They're basically like, yeah, I'm a prince. Alexis was already married to a lady named Louise Van Allen. A friend Barbara met at Bailey's Beach in Rhode Island, and a member of the Astor family when he met Barbara in Barats, France. So basically, this guy's already married, but is already a scammer. So Alexis and Barbara meeting was engineered. It did not happen organically or naturally. Alexis's sister, Isabel, who was always propelling her family into wealthy marriages. Like, it seems like she's the sister is kind of giving puppet master. So she's like, I don't care if you're already married, kind of like, you can get a divorce, like, and we can go on to this better one. So like, it's literally the marrying Mdivani's. Like, it sounds horrible, but like, it kind of seems like that's what they were doing. And like, this was their scheme, was to be like, we're royalty, and then marry into wealthy families, and then like, when they got a better connection, divorce and then marry that person. So yeah, that's a lot. At that point, it seems easier to just work. Bravo and the Great Depression. No, this really is giving Bravo. It really, 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 really is. So this family's a lot. Rousey, which is the sister Isabel, and Alexis devised a plan that would enable Alexis to divorce Louise, seduce Barbara, and then force her into marriage. They were like, we've got this locked down. Could you even comprehend? Like, they think they're 10 steps ahead. So this is the plan. Alexis is like, I'm going to seduce Barbara. I'm going to get Barbara. We're going to be hooking up. You bring a ton of people, walk in on us. That's the plan. Because they're like, then you'll have to get divorced and marry this new lady. So they're kind of trying to do like a 2 birds, 1 stone thing, which is insane. Honestly, I forgive her, but becoming antisocial after all that. This is when she's like an adult woman at this point. So at this point, she's like 21. So she's not that old, but she is an adult. So they were in San Sebastian, Spain, which is apparently beautiful. I've never been. And Rousey timed Luis and other witnesses to visit a guest cottage while Alexis seduced Barbara. The group caught the couple, prompting Barbara to flee to Paris to avoid facing the scandal. But then the sister, Rousey, Isabel, threatened Barbara and said, if you don't marry my brother, we're going to put all this horrible stuff about you in the media. We're going to call you a whore. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Keep in mind, Barbara's like already kind of traumatized because she had this horrible media campaign against her when she had her 18th birthday party. That wasn't even her idea. So like she already had to escape to Europe for that. And now she's in Europe and someone's like, we're going to do a horrible media campaign against you in Europe. So she like doesn't want to go back to America either. So Alexis and Barbara were married June 22nd, 1933 in a Russian Orthodox church in Paris, France. Barbara's father provided a $1 million dowry, and thank you, Megan LaFlame. A dowry is an amount of money that the bride's family will give to her husband for marrying her. I think that's insane that her dad paid this dowry. So that's what I mean, like, he does kind of suck. And like, to a scammer, to a literal scammer. So this is her first husband. Like, she was literally 21 on vacation in Spain trying to get dick down. That's what I feel like we need to remember. 21 on vacation in Spain, and suddenly you're married. You're literally trapped in a marriage. Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. And y'all, when I tell you we are on slide 34 of 100, because we're worth negative money, so we need a dowry to be married off. So this is her and her husband. This is the wedding. Just his face pisses me off. She was trying to get a martini and got a marriage instead. She should have been at the club. She was. She literally was fucking a guy she met on vacation. And don't we all have the right? Beautiful bride, but God, his stupid little face. So this is Alexis Mdivani of the Marrying Mdivani's. The dad literally sounds like he could give less of a shit about her, marrying her off to him. Damn. What does seduce mean in this context? Like, that's sketchy. That is true, and not to slut shame her, but like, as you'll see, she did appear that like, she really enjoyed affection from men. So I'm not going to say that this was or wasn't any specific things, but there are many other cases of her having casual sex. So it's not crazy out of character, but you could be right. I'm going to give that one a big question mark. The girl had no social skills. She was just trying to make friends and live a little. All of his smart money, he better have invented the prenup. So horrible, horrible honeymoon. I can't imagine being exiled for other people's bullshit and then getting blackmailed into marriage while exiled. I was watching your Fire Festival stream on YouTube to go to this one. Okay, so it's her honeymoon. Things are not good, you guys. There was no romance on the first honeymoon night. Alexis looked at his bride and told her that she was too fat. Barbara was beyond hurt by this. And again, some of this was like really hard to source. So it could be gossip, but like, I don't know. Barbara was very hurt by that, naturally, and that really, like, propelled eating issues with her. She then started suffering from anorexia and would, like, deal with this really for the rest of her life. We'll talk about at certain points it got really bad again, but according to a couple sources, this is when this first started. So only 5 months after the wedding, Alexis got everything he ever wanted because Barbara turned 21. So he literally married her a couple months shy of her getting access to her inheritance, because I get a lot of trust, say like when the person's 21, so I guess hers was set up in that way. So he married her 5 months before she got the money, and then he gained access to her $50 million inheritance because they were husband and wife. Could it be gross? Yes. Do I believe a man would do that? Yes. People have been having casual sex since the dawn of time, but only in the past 40 years we stopped pretending like it wasn't a thing. Exactly. The way I made fun of him for being broke, if you're going to fat shame me. Yeah, for real. Like, to be broke and divorced and to fat shame your new rich wife that's like, I'm pretty sure younger than him. Disgusting. So again, they got married 1933 after spending millions of dollars on a home, polo ponies, clothes, and men's jewelry. They divorced 2 years later in March of 1935. So he literally just used and abused her. Like, you can at least be nice. Like, if you're gonna marry someone for money, be nice. You should be so fucking nice to them. You should be so nice. I literally think men who take money from women are the scum of the earth. The scum of the earth, especially back then. The entire world is set up for men to be rich and for men to make money. A lot of places women couldn't own property, they couldn't be on their own bank accounts. So for you as a man in the 1930s to rob a woman, you have to be so incompetent and so stupid that that was your best option. Like, it's giving lazy. It's disgusting. And like, it's so difficult for women to have wealth, especially back then. Even if you inherited it, men were going to try and take it from you through banking, through whatever. So for you to rob this woman and then leave her, like I said, like, if you wanted to be a trophy husband, be a trophy husband and be devoted. Like, would I do it? No. But if that's what Barbara just wanted, someone to be nice to her and be a companion and be sweet, and she was willing to bankroll everything, that's literally fine. But like, this is just so disgusting to me. I hate it. So clearly Barbara was like, I'm going to turn lemons into lemonade. She did get married the same year she got divorced. What I would be to give her to be her trophy husband. So she married a count next, and she wore a black silk dress and a fur coat to the wedding. And she married Count Kurt Heinrich Eberhard Erdmann George von Haugwitz Hardben Reventlow. Look how happy she is. City girls rise up. Like, she's looking good. Things are on the up and up. Hot commodity. So within less than a year, she's a countess now. She's a countess. Good for her. Good for her. I would be that girl that looks like a trophy, but secretly I'm giving up my salary. But secretly I'm the one saving up my salary and poisoning my husband. The original Revenge dress. You should do a stream on Alice Roosevelt Longworth. I don't know who that is. Salary, I meant allowance. Literally, she's giving Luann. So she's a countess now. Absolutely love that for her. And then she has a son with this guy about a year later. Her son's name is Lance. So Count Kurt von Haugwitz Hardenberg Reventlow, whereas the guy that she shared her only child with, her son Lance Graf von Haugwitz Harding Reventlow, who was born in 1936. So this is them in London. So she is primarily living in Europe, even though she is an American. Here are the couple at their son's christening. You might be thinking, things are on the up and up. Things are good. Things are good. Not good. He was very abusive. He dominated her through verbal and physical abuse, which escalated to a beating that was so bad that it left her hospitalized and then put him in jail. Do you know how abusive you have to be to go to jail for spousal abuse in the 1930s? People barely go to jail for that now. So it has to be bad for you to go to jail. He also, this is fucked up, persuaded her to give up her American citizenship. And to take his Danish citizenship for tax purposes. So you're allowed to be a citizen of two places. Oh, Teddy Roosevelt's daughter. You're allowed to be a citizen of two places, but if you're an American citizen, you have to pay American taxes. Other countries do it differently, where if you live in another country and you're paying taxes there, you don't have to pay your home taxes, but for Americans, you have to pay taxes. So he basically was like, give up your citizenship to America so we don't have to pay American taxes. But now you're not a citizen of your home country being controlled by an abusive man. Not good. So she did give her citizenship up in a New York court in 1937. At this point, she lapsed into a lot of drug abuse. She also had anorexia, which we discussed, which actually plagued her for the rest of her life and left her unable to have further children. Not that anorexia is ever a good thing, but I don't feel like having more children was going to make her life better. So, out of everything, to me, that's not that big of a problem. It's like, oh my God, she's infertile? Like, she has so many problems above fertility to me. So that's not really a concern right now. So her son did become like a cool dude. He was a race car driver, during the golden age of American sports car racing. So like he was pretty successful. And in 1937, her and her husband moved to their newly built home, the Winnefield House in London's Regent Park. Very expensive. They had purchased the property from the Crown Estate Commission in 1936 and were granted permission to build a new home on the land. So like basically, she's now like the 1% in Europe. She's married to this guy. She gave up her American citizenship. They have this son. Like things are not great because he's super abusive. So that's where we're at right now. This is a picture of them in 1938. I think, again, very, very hard to tell, but she's starting to look a little worn. You can see in her eyes she's less than thrilled with things that are happening around her. And everyone hates her. Awesome. Gotta love re-victimization. So her abusive husband is like, you're gonna give up your citizenship. So she does, and then the public is like, you unpatriotic bitch. She gets eaten alive again. Yay. Awesome. Awesome. So public outcry after she renounced her citizenship. Remember the Brittany Bateman commercial for marriage? How could I forget? So public outcry after she renounced her citizenship was nothing short of shocking. Americans thought she was very ungrateful to the country that made her, spurring angry workers to demand a living wage in the streets. I tried to find any other account of that and I could not find it. I was like, did people have like mass protest over this? Don't know if that's true. I don't know if it was like the workers of the Woolworth company, because that still exists. I don't know, but apparently people were mad. Columnist Walter Winchell denounced her as society's most outrageous child, and the New York Times said that she was despicable. How much do you want to bet that the New York Times didn't report on the domestic violence she suffered through? Oh, I'm sure they didn't. How did they even find out? The town cried. Oh my God. Well, she had to do it in New York court, so someone probably leaked it because she was famous. They were probably like, hey, by the way, like it just probably got leaked the way that things do. So amidst all the public criticism, as well as her husband being abusive, she was like on drugs. She was like, I hate all of you. I'm going to be on drugs. People have hated women for so long, so of course they would write that shit in the New York Times. Hot take, but people hated her for being a rich woman, yes, who didn't earn her money while wealthy business titans didn't even get 1/10 of the criticism. It's absolutely misogyny. It absolutely is. Is there an emote for the poster of you crying? If not, please, at Redacted Assistant. there is not, and I can make one. Good idea. I've been meaning to like rework my emotes. It's been a while. It's a couple years since I've updated them. So she's living in London. She does divorce her horrible husband. They were married for about 3 years, so they divorced in 1939. The Depression's kind of starting to end, but also World War II is kind of starting to begin. So her divorce gave her custody of their son. They went through a lot of bitter court disputes, but she won. But again, with like trauma, she did what her family did and had a governess raise her son and sent him to private boarding schools. So like, I'm not gonna rip her alive for this because I think she just genuinely has so much PTSD and so much trauma that she like doesn't know how to form a bond with someone. Because she literally has had no one in her life as like a long-term relationship and a long-term bond. So I can see like you only know what you know, and she never had a parent-child bond. So like she's like, yeah, that's what you do with kids. You know? I don't think she knew there was an alternative. Like, I don't think she knew some people do raise their own children. Because, again, like, rich people didn't do that, especially back then. Still kind of today. She hadn't had any model for parenting. Exactly. I just, like, there's probably worse places for him to be. So she did have an affair in 1938, and I think if your husband is beating the shit out of you, you are allowed to cheat on him. I'll say that. So she had a brief affair with Howard Hughes in London at the Savoy Hotel, where they spent several afternoons together. Hughes at the time was engaged to Katharine Hepburn and had come to London to meet with government officials and arrange permission to overfly Europe as a plan to circumnavigate the globe. So he was like a pilot and was like, I'm going to fly around the world. So he had to go to Europe and be like, can I fly over Europe, I guess? His foundation paid me, shout out. Well, he cheated on his fiance. So although Barbara really took to him, he wasn't exactly the best lover. The first night they were together, apparently he was like obsessed with pleasuring her, but she couldn't climax, and then he completely lost interest. She said, and again, these quotes were not very well sourced, so I apologize if any of them are wrong. He could not take it when a woman lost herself in pleasure because he felt he must be in control of a situation. So I get, like, they were having sex, and I guess he, like, freaked out. I don't know. Like, it was just, something happened. Hughes had met Hepburn on the set. Imagine cheating on Katharine Hepburn, literally. So let's give a little bit of lore about him. Well, that's a fun kink. I'm all about being sex positive, but no, literally. Like, I think, and then she said he couldn't take it when a woman lost herself. So was it like he wanted to be the one doing it in a certain way? And if you couldn't do it that way, he like freaked out. Like, I don't know. It seems like the lack of communication and education about sex like really was the downfall of this affair, but also it's an affair. So this little tidbit of information will be important later. So Hughes had met Katharine Hepburn on the set of a movie, a Cary Grant movie. Howard Hughes and Cary Grant were very close, longtime friends. So his friend is Cary Grant. Remember that. To be honest, best she had help with raising the kid, especially if she was on drugs, traumatized, and had an ED. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he was fine at boarding school. So Cary Grant is a super, super famous guy. He was one of the most famous actors. He was a classic Hollywood, definitive leading men, like, of the first movies and the first things. Like, he was that fucking guy. He was super, super famous. So this is an updated pic of Barbara to get it back to Barbara. This is her in 1939. She's looking much better post-divorce. I think she looks way better here than in the bathing suit picture with her shitty ex-husband. So, again, you might be like, things are on the up and up, left this bad guy, having an affair, things are good. Now World War II is beginning, so that's perfect. As World War II threatened, she moved to California. She's divorced from that count. She's like, I'm done being European. I'm going back to California. I guess they let her back in, even though she renounced her citizenship. I guess they were chill with her coming back, probably because she's rich. So what she did was like actually pretty cool. Her house, the Winfield house, she allowed the British military to take it over. She was like, yeah, take it. I'm not using it. Whatever. Did people just not smile in photos back then? Not as much as today. So her house is being used by the British military to fight the Germans in World War II. She was very active during the war. She gave money to assist the Free French forces. She donated her yacht to the French Navy. And she used her high-profile image to sell war bonds. This gave her a lot of good PR. People were like, yay, we love Barbara, America's sweetheart, after years of talking shit about her marriages and like all of these things. So yeah. Speaking of Cary Grant, my aunt was Ginger Rogers' assistant, and Ginger Rogers was in movies with Cary Grant. Oh my God. Rich people were expected to contribute something once. She said, who's the patriot now, bitches? She said, give me my citizenship. And I like that she's not just supporting America. She's given French, British. She's like, hell yeah, man, everybody. So remember the super famous actor, Cary, in the social circle from the affair with Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes and Cary Grant are friends. She married him in 1942. So, some people say 42, some say 43. He literally looks obsessed with her. Look at her. Which I think is so funny. Like, when you marry your married boyfriend's best friend. Because why the hell not? Literally, why the hell not? Like, it is so tea. Her life is incredibly tea. I'm glad that you understand. That's literally more American than a bald eagle. She said we can do it. I'm obsessed with her marrying. Like, she had an affair with this guy. He was like weird in bed, and then she married his best friend 3 years later. She was in sicko mode. I don't even know which husband we're on at this point. I think this is number 3. But yeah. And look how happy she looks. She's literally like, eh. The summer I turned pretty core. Like, she's incredible to me for this. I support women's rights and women's wrongs. That should be the theme of tonight, honestly. Here's another picture of them at the wedding. Look how happy he is. His more famous best friend. She's like, all right, I'm out from London. I'm going to California, and I'm marrying your fucking famous best friend, and I'm winning the war. Suck it, losers. So, yeah, she's just out here doing whatever. Who's gonna check me, boo? It's so funny to me. She's literally, I feel so much empathy for her because she is so clearly just a lover girl. Like, she is so clearly someone who wants to give love and wants to receive love, and that's like all she really cares about. And like, this is just hilarious to me. So this is like, the internet was like, this insanely dramatic moment from Barbara's life. This is nothing compared to what she's been through, but this is what happened. So in Hollywood, she met Cary Grant, one of the biggest movie stars of the day, and they got married in 1942. According to the U.S. Embassy website, following their marriage, Grant was in London for the war effort and visited the Winfield house, so her old house with her ex-husband that the British were using. Hearing criticism of Hutton by U.S. broadcaster Edward Murrow of the abandonment of her London home, Grant suggested that Murrow visit the house before leveling unfounded criticism. So, like, her husband's like, they're saying you abandoned your house. I'll show them. The media has said far worse things about her. Like, I can't imagine people cared about this. I just can't. So following the war, they gave the Winfield house to the U.S. government to be used as the residence for the U.S. ambassador. So I'm kind of unclear about what the problem is here exactly. And the press dubbed them as Cash and Cary, basically saying like, she is just money and he's the famous guy. It is a really clever nickname. And keep in mind, this is in World War II. The U.S., for parts of World War II, sold weapons on a cash and carry basis, which basically means if the Allied powers wanted weapons, they could buy them from us, but they had to pay in U.S. currency, I think, or like they had to pay for it. And they had to come pick it up. So like Cash and Cary. So it's like a play on that of like, she's the Cash and he's Cary. But Grant did not need her money, nor did he really benefit for her name. He appeared to genuinely care for her. Like it seemed like they were cool. And like I said, he was already super rich and famous, so he didn't really need her money. Because of her wealth, her friends often circled her like vultures, always ready to take advantage of her. Grant recognized this immediately and really hated her friends. Like all of her social events he really didn't like. He was perhaps the only man that didn't seek to use her. And after they married, he continued to prove himself as a worthy Prince Charming. He was even very close with her son and really like was talking to him and stepped in and all of those things. So like it seems like things are really good. But not so perfect. He could not hold on to her. Barbara loved him, but one thing she really didn't like is that he was like working. Because she didn't understand, like, why are you working? Like, we have so much money, you don't have to work. Which, like, I get why she thinks this way, because she's never worked and no one in her family really works anymore. And she's never really been around people that work. And so like she wanted to travel all the time and just like party and hang out. And she was like, just quit your job and come. And he was like, well, I am like one of the top actors. I don't want to give up my like incredibly profitable career to just like drink and travel. And she was like, ew. So they did have some rifts in their marriage. And she went behind his back and dealt him a terrible betrayal, unfortunately. In 1943, she met fashion designer Oleg Kasani and made him a wild proposition. According to Kasani, so again, this is according to men, Barbara said that she was tired of Grant and wanted to be with Cassini instead, and that there were more than just a few problems because he was married. This is such a roller coaster of emotions. No, it really is. So he was married to actress Jean Tierney, I don't know. But this did not faze Barbara at all. She just felt like she could, Oleg Cassini, thank you. Barbara just felt like I have all this money, like I should be able to get whatever I want. Like, just leave her. Like, she just didn't get it. Like, she was used to just, like, getting what she wanted in terms of, like, material things. So when she, like, saw this guy that she wanted to marry, and she was like, I have all this money, and he was like, well, I'm married. She was like, what do you mean? I think especially because think about her first marriage, you know? You can just really tell the way that her brain has developed. She sorely underestimated this guy's wife, and even with romance, she was a businesswoman through and through. She asked Cassini to approach his wife with a generous deal. If they amicably divorced, Barbara would give this lady $1 million. And this lady was like, no. Like, Jeannie was like, I don't want your $1 million. Like, what's wrong with you? Oleg was known as the ladies' man of the fashion world at this time. Oh, good to know. So he's a whore. Because I was also wondering, I was like, why did he even let Barbara do that? Like, why did the wife even find out about this? So yeah, she tried to like buy a husband because she was tired of her husband and how he wouldn't party with her, but it didn't work. So he described this relationship in his autobiography. According to this, he was convinced by Cary Grant to help him save his marriage. So she literally tries to pay off this guy's wife to leave the wife and marry her. Whole time she's married. Her husband is like, please, I love my wife. Don't do this to me. He said, Oleg, I understand Barbara thinks the world of you. You know we are having problems. I hope you don't have any interest in her personally because frankly, that would be a terrible blow to me. Now, if I can trust you, if I am sure there is no romantic interest there, if I'm convinced you are a friend, I will ask you to do me a favor. Intercede on my behalf. Be a peacemaker. Please tell her to be reasonable. What is Barbara doing to these men? That you have your husband writing a letter to your boyfriend and the husband is like, please talk to her. Like, please tell her to like me. Like, this is crazy. Poor girlie just needed one real friend to talk her down. No, for real. This is the craziest enablement of insecure attachment I've ever heard about. I love when men beg. Me too. Cary Grant is like going through it right now. Like he's like, I don't even want her money. I just like, I can't fucking do this. I can't fucking do this. So now Barbara is coming to the front with like 2 failures. 1, being rejected by this guy. And then 2, her crumbling marriage with Cary Grant because she's literally traveling and having an affair. So their marriage is not good. Ultimately, their marriage failed in 1945. They were only married for a couple of years. Oh, there's an ambulance. That's not good. At least they don't have the lights on. So yeah, this is a lot. Like, if you're confused, I'm sorry. I'm confused too. I think Barbara's confused. Like, I think everyone's just confused. So Grant did not seek any money in their divorce settlement. So, like, that is one really good thing about him. He did make his own money while they were married and before. And like I said, he's a super famous actor, so he's literally fine. They heavily invested in real estate in Acapulco, which is in Mexico, I think. When this was like a very small fishing village, they teamed up with some other people and bought a hotel. So he's super rich. He doesn't need anything in the divorce from her because they already made this money. And like, yeah, basically it's fine. So she leaves California and she's like, I'm moving to Paris. I'm moving to Paris. I'm done with this. And she starts dating Igor Trobotowski. I just need her to be celibate for 1 year. And when I say celibate, I mean truly not talk to a man. Truly not talk to a man at all. Haven't we said in previous streams how many times you can get divorced and remarried? So she buys a palace in Tangier. I don't know where that is. Let me Google it. I feel like I'm butchering every pronunciation of everything tonight. Sorry about that. It's in Morocco. Beautiful. Wow, it's a beautiful place. So she buys a palace in Morocco and then starts dating a expatriate Russian prince of very limited means, but world renown. Tell me exactly what you mean by that. Famous and broke. Got it. And being not famous and broke, I won't judge you for. But if you're famous and you're broke, what happened? What went wrong? You should have been able to capitalize on this in some way. How are you famous and broke? What the fuck happened there? What happened there? She needed a platonic man friend to bluntly tell her she's wrong. No, I think she needs girlfriends. I think men need to stay as far away from her as humanly possible. And then she married him, you guys. So she marries the broke fake prince in Switzerland in 1948. So that's awesome. Maybe Barbara needed a woman based on all these relationships. Barbara Sugar Mama Hutton. So yeah, she's married again. I don't even know which one this is. I think maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. 3? 4? No, I think it's 4. I think this is 4. So I guess he's like accomplished or whatever. The year that they got married, he was the driver of the first Ferrari to ever compete in the Grand Prix motor racing, which is like Monaco Grand Prix is like very important in the car racing world. So he is like a number 1 racer, but I feel like it's just because she bought the car. You know, like, isn't it really more about the car? Like, I know the driver is important, but like, you would have the best driver in the entire world. If they have a bad car, it's not going to go well. So, like, I feel like she just bought the car, and now he's, like, a winner. It's 4. That's what I thought. So there's a picture of him. Here's the picture of them together again. She looks happy, I guess. How many times can you get scammed by a prince? 2 times, I guess. A man broke famous is a triple threat negative. That might be stream or comment of the night. Might just have to be. There we go. After World War I, hella Russian nobility lost everything and were exiled throughout Europe trying to bag rich women who they could scam with useless titles. Yep, that sounds about right. This is right after World War II, though, so similar thing, I guess. Or maybe it just took him a really long time. Hold on, I still want to get that chat. The other one I took was blurry. Okay, so she's married again. He's a race car driver. He filed for divorce in 1951. I don't even have more to say on it. Like, they were not married for long. They were married for 3 years. Most of her marriages are 2 to 3 years. That's like a trend that I'm noticing. And he's the one that filed for divorce. So I literally think he married this lady for a car. And now he's a famous racer, and he's like, well, I don't need you, so bye. So that's cool. Really awesome for Barbara. Things are going great. But this newspaper says that she filed. So I don't know. And also, just to give you an update, she's 39 years old at this point. So she's not an old woman by any means. She's 39. So this article said, Barbara Hutton seeks divorce from Prince. Notification of suit for divorce against Prince Igor Trepkowski filed February 26 by Barbara Hutton, heiress of some $20 million of the Woolworth fortune, was posted in Mexico. Today was the last day the prince can file an answer. The divorce may be awarded by default if no answer is filed. The 4-time married heiress asked for the divorce on grounds of mental cruelty. But the other thing said he filed. So it seems like the marriage was bad, but this is really sad. She did attempt to take her own life after this divorce. There were like headlines around the world about it. Like, that was literally just a newspaper clipping that I showed you. And this is when she really got labeled as the poor little rich girl, because she was divorced for the 4th time. She's 39 years old, and the media just really exploited her. This is what reminds me of like Britney Spears, Paris Hilton, is like, this woman has money, yes, but she's literally at like the worst. Like, she is dealing with drug addiction, is dealing with eating disorders, has been exploited by so many men. All these people died early in her life. Like, she has so much trauma, and then the media just like re-traumatizes her, and the trauma just fucking builds. And her life not only is depressing for her, but it becomes like open for anybody to comment and talk about worldwide. There's nowhere she can go. Well, I guess she probably could go to like a random forest in the middle of nowhere, but you get what I'm saying. Like, she's famous in Europe and America, and both places are talking shit about her. Not a good way to be. So she does try to take her own life, and everyone's like, oh, poor little rich girl tried to kill herself. People don't try to kill themselves when things are going well, you know? So a lot of this had really sketchy sources, but it did give some details and timeline about her health. She could have gone to Asia. Yeah. So Barbara Hutton had been struggling with undiagnosed illness since the time of her birth of her son Lance. So she probably also had postpartum stuff going on. Also, she had an eating disorder even before this. Sorry. Australia. So when she was 23, she became so ill that she was mostly unconscious, and when she did wake up, she didn't recognize people around her. As quoted in $1 Million Baby, the press seized upon this and released photographs of her looking particularly thin and weak. In 1945, after her divorce from Cary Grant, she became sicker than before. She had an endless period of emergency rooms and operations. Hutton stated that her personality was forever changed by this period of intense illness and that her life was never exciting again. So what I think happened is she maybe had really bad postpartum, and then they gave her weird old medical care that made her worse. That's my theory here. I think she was already dealing with PTSD, anxiety definitely, and definitely an eating disorder like they mentioned. And then I think she had postpartum something, maybe OCD, like depression, whatever. They probably did something to her that fucked her up even worse. And it's just been a downhill from there. Despite the fears of her physicians, she survived this. And she would later admit that although she tried to be grateful every day, she actually wished that she had died. And she developed severe anxiety after this and became really afraid to go out and do anything. So, yeah. I have 4.4K points. I always forget, I like the points. I'm so a boomer on Twitch. It really is. Hanging out with my family instead of watching. Don't sound too excited. Can't wait to watch later on YouTube. So this is still sketchy, but apparently she loved pills. She dealt with her anxiety and stress with the barbiturate called Secnol. At night, they helped her sleep, and during the day, they made her feel disconnected from reality. And in this movie, she would, like, fall asleep all the time. Is apparently something because she was, like, on pills. And apparently once she fell asleep while she was having sex, and it, like, turned into a whole thing, and the guy freaked out. I kind of left out some of the details on that because it was, like, really had no sources at all. But apparently she was taking pills a lot, falling asleep a lot, and sometimes it happened while she was having sex. While Seconal was her drug of choice, can't fucking breathe. She also took pills of all kinds indiscriminately, often with alcohol. Her doctor is quoted saying that it was critical there not be any medication within reach of her because anything she saw, she would just take all of it at once. And on occasion, she was taken to the hospital in a coma. On another occasion, she asked a friend of her son Lance to bring her Seconal. He was unaware that there was a limit to the number of pills a doctor wanted her to take per day, and when he gave her 12, she took all of them at one time. So yeah, not good. She is on a lot of drugs and drinking a lot, and she's been through a lot. So let's go back to this timeline. And again, she just attempted to take her own life. She's been dealing with drug problems. She's been dealing with eating disorders. She's been dealing with all these issues. She's divorced for the 4th time, and there's a ton of public scrutiny surrounding her. So things could not get better. She did have a rival. Through all of this, she found the time to have a rival. She had a very famous rivalry with Doris Duke. They were childhood friends. They were born less than 10 days apart from each other. But apparently Doris was envious of Barbara's beauty, and Barbara called Doris cheap because Doris was much more careful with her money. In one famous occasion, Doris invited Barbara to stay at her Hawaii mansion, and this is where their friendship crashed and burned. Barbara didn't show Doris's home 1 ounce of respect, and she decided to change her entire house. She redecorated the house with Japanese furniture and disposed of Doris's belongings. And when Doris saw what Barbara had done, she kicked her out. So this is literally her arch nemesis, and somehow they ended up marrying the same man at different points in time. So another great piece of lore about her. Someone get her to date Doris. Enemies to lovers probably would have been better. This was the cheer up bitch era of medicine. No, it really, really, really was. So if Barbara's last husband, Cary Grant, was too boring, her 5th one was certainly no slouch. Barbara gravitated towards the wild card. His name was Porfino Rubirosa. Now, he was not Prince Charming. He was a notorious womanizer, and he had a taste for wealthy brides, and he had already been married to Doris. So this is Doris's ex-husband. Barbara kills me. Brooke and Tana 100 years ago. Why? Why is your 5th husband your rival's ex-husband? Why? So this is December 30th, 1943. She fucking marries Porfirio Rubirosa. So that's absolutely perfect. This is giving Lucille Bluth and Malloy Archer. And Mallory Archer. Yes, Mallory Archer. She is giving Mallory Archer. She's doing it for the plot at this point. Like, look at her face. She kills me. Like, you truly never let them know your next move. I just want her to relax. Like, I simply just want her to relax. Like, it's marriage after marriage after marriage after marriage, and it's getting out of hand. Like, it's really getting intense. I gotta put respect on Barbara. All Barbara does. Like, but also she's on drugs, so does she even know that this is her enemy's ex-husband? Who's to say? So this marriage did only last 53 days. Not the longest marriage. He was a Dominican diplomat, and he was an international playboy, and he was having an affair with actress Zsa Zsa Gabor, I think is how you say that. And so that affair with Zsa Zsa Gabor started before and lasted longer than his marriage to Barbara. Like, very short marriage, but she did get Dominican citizenship in 1953. So that's cool, I guess. In a scathing review of the marriage ceremony, the Milwaukee Centennial said the bride, for her 5th wedding, wore black and carried a scotch and soda. Talk your shit from Milwaukee. Oh, you're in Milwaukee and you have an opinion? Yeah, write that in your Milwaukee newspaper, baby. Like, citizenship of the DR of Dominica. I don't know. I have no idea. It's 1953. Does that help? I would put that on my tombstone. No, literally. For her 5th wedding, wore black and carried a scotch and soda. Look at her. She doesn't give a fuck. White gloves are on. Fur. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. She's like, say something. You had something to say? I'm sorry, did you guys have something to say? 5th marriage. Whatever, man. At least this marriage was longer than William Henry Harrison's presidency. Later, Barbara claimed that she and Ruby Rosa never actually consummated the marriage because he was always away with his mistress, Zsa Gabor, and he was not subtle about this. There were often pictures of him and Zsa Gabor in the tabloids, like he would just be out in public with his mistress having an affair with her after he'd married Barbara. This was very humiliating to Barbara and lasted less than 6 months in the end. But probably one of her biggest faults is that she was very generous with her ex-husband. Listen to what she gave him after, again, literally 53 days of marriage. A coffee plantation, jewelry, polo ponies, a B-25, and $2.5 million. Why did she give him that? It was 53 days. You probably could have gotten that annulled. How does she even still have money after all of this? We will discuss. It was a lot of money. So yeah, that's not good. This is who Barbara needs. We've all been saying Barbara needs a male friend. Barbara needs female friends. Barbara needs Mama Joyce. Barbara needs Mama Joyce. Like, I need Mama Joyce on this expeditiously. I need her here immediately. Like, if Mama Joyce knew that this was going on, she would not stand for this. I can tell you that much. Barbara needs a gun. So, yeah. Barbara needed you. Honestly, I could have helped her. So, she did hang out with a couple different American men during this time. This is a picture of her getting into a car with her friend James Douglas outside of a hotel in 1959. Looks pretty cozy with her friend. And I'm not saying that to be shady. I'm happy for her. I hope that people are treating her well. This is her with Philip Van Rensselaer, so another American guy, I guess. So yeah, she's hanging out, she's partying, she's doing the damn thing. Honestly, corpses don't need alimony. Prove me wrong. So again, she divorces this guy in 1954. Very, very short marriage. So she got married again. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm really sorry she got married again. Like, I'm just as surprised as you are. Trust me. It was a scheme that Todd set up for sure. For sure. Like, for sure. I believe Barbara and Princess Margaret would have partied together. So this is Versailles, France, November 8th, 1955. Von Cram weds Barbara Hutton. So Barbara Hutton, who has been a princess and a countess, is now a baroness because she married Baron Gottfried von Cram, former German tennis star. And this is now her 6th husband for this heiress. Imagine her son trying to keep track. If I was him, I'd be like, I'm only meeting the ones that you're married to for more than 2 years. If they have not been married to you for 2 years, I don't even want to see them. I don't even want to know about them. Don't tell me. So she marries this German tennis baron, I guess. This is her with him. Barbara probably just needed a good adult toy. Did they make those back then? I don't know. Like, it's getting weird. Do you think her son would call all of them dad? No, he was at boarding school. And at this point, I think he's grown. Is he? He's a young adult at this point. So this is her with this fucking guy. Does she know she can throw a party without getting married? Maybe that's one of the problems. Maybe she really likes to party, and so that's why she keeps getting married. So now this fucking guy is here. At least he has a job. He plays tennis. And they had been friends for a while, because this picture's from 1951. So this picture is before she was married to Rubirosa. So she has known this guy for a fucking while and just married him. So, yeah, her little 53-day side marriage happened, and then she starts hanging out with this guy again. And they look pretty close in this photo. Like, how many husbands ago? So husband number 5 was Rubirosa. This is husband number 6. The barren German tennis guy. Yeah. I haven't read or seen Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but I guess. So it's 1955. She marries Baron Gottfried von Kram. This is all alleged, but when she met him, she fell deeply, deeply in love, and she was like, he's the one, I know it, all the other ones were wrong. Minor problem. Just like the teeniest, tiniest problem, he is attracted to men. If it wasn't for that one little thing. But she was like, you know what? I can fix him. I can change him. And she decided to marry him anyway. Part of me wonders if she actually cared about the whole gay thing, because compared to some of these awful men that she's been with, a gay husband doesn't seem like the worst thing. And like, at least he has his own money from his actual job. And apparently the reason that he married her is because they were friends and he wanted to help her through substance abuse and depression. So like, it's giving lavender marriage. When that came up, I was searching if he was gay. So yeah, ultimately he was unable to help her with the substance abuse and depression, but he wanted to. That was his motivation. So even though he was gay, she still had her heart in the game, and he later admitted she did say, and actor Cliff Robertson later admitted, different guy talking about it, not him himself, sorry, messed up there. So actor Cliff Robinson admitted she did say at one point that Von Kram was the love of her life. Unfortunately, over the 5-year marriage, his preferences were not budging. He still continued to indulge in affairs with other men, and eventually this is what tore them apart. So yeah, that's sad to me. Because I think, like, it really does seem like a lavender marriage. Like, he was gay, and he was like, you seem nice and need help, so let's just get married. That'll be cool. But then she was like, I genuinely love you, and you're cheating on me. So, like, lavender marriages do seem extremely painful if you're not on the same page from the jump, it seems like. Maybe they all wanted to fix her. I don't think most of them did. Her dad isn't still paying a dowry to all of these men, right? I do not believe so. Not that I'm aware of. This seems like if we're still single by the time we're 30, let's give it a shot. I think at this point she's in her 40s. I'm pretty sure her father has passed at this point. Could have been a power couple. They really could have been a power couple. 5 years is a record for her. Because he's nice. Because he's literally nice. Cary Grant was nice too, but like, it seemed like she was kind of the problem in that one. Like, her partying and not understanding why he didn't want to do that. He's low-key the nicest guy she was with, which is sad. I think Cary Grant and the German Baron tennis guy, those are the nicest guys that she's been with out of all of these guys. Those are the ones that haven't really fucked her over so far, it seems like. But they got divorced. 4 or 5, we're not sure. But yeah, they got divorced in 1959. Sure. Not great. Not great. She's, 47 at this point? Yikes. Not great. Not even that she's 47. I just mean life has not been kind to her. But throughout all of this, her lavish spending continued. She was already the owner of several mansions around the world, and in 1959, she built a Japanese-style palace in Mexico. And now it's like a hotel or like an Airbnb. It's like a place you can rent. I don't really know. But 1959, 30-acre Japanese palace in Mexico. Fuck it. She was literally just kind of doing whatever. And then in 1964, she met painter Raymond Doan. I'm sure that she had her own personal things and hobbies during this time. I just don't know what they are. I hate to make such like a male-centered story of a woman, but it really does seem like she was pretty occupied with this. To make up for the Japanese decor that was thrown out in Hawaii. No, she bought the Japanese decor in Hawaii, I think. I think she got rid of her friend's stuff to put in Japanese decor. Like, that was her thing. This is actually convincing me that money can't buy happiness. Thank you. No, it really can't. I think money can only affect your happiness when you didn't have it before. Because if you don't know any different, you don't know to be grateful for it. But like, I've been broke, so I am grateful when I have money, and it does make me happy. They actually did a study. This was years ago. This was like 20 years ago, so this number is wrong. But think like the economy 20 years ago, that money does make you happier up to $70,000 a year. I'm going to do the inflation calculator for that. How much is that in today's money? I think that stat is from like the early 2000s. Let's just do 2000, 70,000. So today that'd be $133,000, which like so tracks. So like money does make you happier until you get to the point that you're making $133,000 a year. And then after that, it stops making you happier. That tracks pretty hard, I think. Maybe she should have married a divorce attorney. Her hobby was talking to divorce lawyers. So moving on to the painter Raymond Doan. Doan did not have the status that Barbara usually lusted after. So she likes this poor painter. So she buys him the title of a Cambodian prince for $250,000. She's like, oh, you're poor? That's fine. I can buy you a noble title, and then we can get married. Like, Barbara. Like, what are we doing, Barbara? Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Why did you do that? You could have just married him. He looks much younger than her. That is another thing that I noticed. I want to know who's in charge of this in Cambodia. Who in Cambodia is in charge of selling titles? I would like to speak with you. Like, you can buy titles, honestly slay. I guess if it makes sense. Like, if I'm part of a monarchy and we need money, come on in. Because if you as the monarchy don't have any money, you're not going to continue to be the monarchy. So if you want to like maintain your power and get over here. And then they probably like, oh, and Barbara Hutton? Yeah, you're more than welcome. We love Cambodia. Like, something came out in 2025 about needing $96K a year to live comfortably. That sounds about right. Because I think I made last year like 86 and I feel like pretty okay with that. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm comfortable, but like, I'm not rich. And like, I feel like 86 is like pretty high. And that's like everything all in. So this is them together. I feel like I've seen that picture of her before. Is that a different guy? I feel like we've seen that picture. If one of them was wrong, sorry. I don't respect these men enough. So this is a really, really random piece of lore. But there's many pictures of her being carried off airplanes. This is one in 1966 of her being carried off an airplane by Colin Fraser. But yeah, we'll talk more about this in a second. But this is an updated picture of her at the time, still with the furs, still with the airplanes, very bougie. Then a newspaper announced their divorce in 1969. So what year did they get married? They met in 1964, so I don't know what year they got married, but they were together for a couple of years. It seems like about 5 years. It says, heiress seeks divorce. Woolworth heiress Barbara Hutton published a legal notice in Morocco, because remember, she has a palace there. Newspaper today confirming that she is seeking Mexican divorce from her 7th husband, Laotian prince, that she bought, Raymond Donvin, whatever. They are pictured together in their Paris, France apartment in 1964. And then I think this was that picture, the one on the right. The one on the left, I think I have the wrong guy. But yeah, so this is a fucking mess. She's 58 at this point. The Cambodian genocide started in 75, so the decade leading up to it was probably, sorry, don't want to trivialize such a serious event, but I just know nothing about it. Yeah, I can imagine the decade leading up to a genocide had some political turmoil, to say the least. So that tracks that they would be selling off titles and in need of money and then soonly turning to violence. That makes sense historically. So Barbara is 58 at this point. It's 1970. She is alone, and at this point, her very large inheritance has been shrinking. She has more health concerns, not really any husbands in sight, so she took comfort in the one constant in her life, her son, Lance. This is a more updated picture of them. Now she is 58. Her son is an adult man. This is her life at this point. She's been divorced 7 times. But unfortunately, she lost her son in 1972 and crashed his plane and died in the plane crash, which is horrible. Like, as if she has not suffered enough. As if she has not suffered enough. So this death really sent her into a state of despair. By this time, her fortune had diminished because of her extreme generosity. She has given away multiple houses, millions and millions of dollars. She frequently appeared intoxicated in public and was notorious for lavish spending. She was known to buy things and give very expensive gifts to complete strangers because, again, like, she was raised thinking that that's like normal and like how you make friends. There's also a lot of questionable deals by her longtime lawyer, Graham Madison, who ate away at her fortune. And eventually, by this point, she starts liquidating assets to be able to live. So at this point, her fortune is gone, and she is now selling her expensive items to be able to pay her bills. And at this point, she is 60 years old, but she still is continuing to spend money on strangers who are willing to pay a little attention to her. So if you ask her anything, show her any type of attention, she'll pay for the bill. Do you want a purse? What do you want? Like, that's the only way she knows to get love and show love is by spending money, which is incredibly, incredibly sad. Why can't men stop stealing from her? I know, literally they need to get jobs. So the whole being carried off the plane thing, this is what I found out about that, is that she never got treatment for a couple injuries, and that's why later in life she had to be carried around a lot. So she had many physical and psychological issues throughout her life, and she missed her son's second wedding due to an illness. And there was one situation where she should have gone to a doctor but refused. When she was in Rome in 1971, she was walking, tripped, fell, and broke her hip. And she did see a doctor eventually, but apparently for a while she refused to see a doctor. No one knows why she did not seek treatment of a doctor. I can take a guess. I think she probably had some really traumatic medical things happen. Like we talked about, she had an eating disorder, she had postpartum depression, she had had multiple surgeries. Like, I think doctors had probably really, really traumatized her, so that's probably why she didn't want to go. As someone who's like very funny about medical care, like I don't like doctors, I don't like going to the doctor, I would rather just like suffer than go to the doctor. I'm very much that way, not in an anti-science way, just in like an anxiety way. But yeah. So people thought it was odd that she didn't seek treatment for breaking her hip, because sometimes she would seek treatment for other things, but whatever the reason, she refused to go to the doctor for this hip for a very long time. And so she had extreme pain and many complications with her hip until the end of her life. So she had to be carried around a lot or was in a wheelchair sometimes. There's a joke in there about Lance following in his mom's footsteps, but I feel bad making it. Same. I literally had the exact same thought. When I saw his second marriage, I was like, nope, we're not going to go there. So this is her being carried off a plane in London in 1971. Her bones are dust after an eating disorder, and today all hip fractures need surgery. Exactly. It just seems like her health at this point is not good. I think like the worst thing for your health is stress, and that's what she's had a lot of in her life. Not financial stress, but many other forms of stress. This is another like mystery about her, the Romanov jewels mystery. She owned a ton of jewelry. There were some articles that I didn't include about her relationships, not like sexual or romantic, but her business relationships with designers and being known for her fashion and her jewelry. There were a lot of designers that like wrote about her and would like let her buy whatever she wanted and make custom stuff for her. So like there was just information on that I felt like it was just like it could be its own stream, so I didn't include a lot of it, but just know that like she's a fashionista. Like she's a fashion girly for sure. Great picture of her, I know. So she owned a generous collection of jewelry, most of which was bought from Jules Glazner, the former chairman of the board of Cartier. So this is a fake Cartier bracelet. The most famous piece of her collection was the Vladimir tiara, which was made from emeralds that belonged to the Romanov Duchess. They had the Marie of Mecklenburg-Schwerin had an extensive jewelry collection that she kept after she fled Russia after the abolition of the monarchy in 1970. Her jewels were reportedly smuggled out of a secret vault in Vladimir Palace, and she was reunited with them in exile. The Duchess jewelry collection was sold by her children after her death, with Cartier purchasing most of it. Emeralds of the collection were sold to Queen Mary of England, Queen Elizabeth II, Elizabeth Taylor, and Barbara Hutton. So like I said, super famous fashion girly of the time. So Barbara Hutton took these Romanoff emeralds and transformed them into a tiara that you can see her wearing here with a yellow gold frame. Later in life, she sold the tiara to the House of Van Cleef and Arpels, which went on to sell the emeralds separately, and the identity of the current owners of these emeralds remains a mystery. So she had these Romanoff jewels and ended up selling them, and now we don't know where they are because this company sold them separately to random people. So yeah, that's one piece of her fashion lore that I felt like was worth including because it's like historic and very interesting. So in the mid-1970s, she moved into the home in a hotel. She's living in a hotel. She lives in the Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills. After her son passed away, she said she did not have much to live for, so she withdrew from society and basically just hung out at this hotel for the rest of her life. She had no real friends. She had no friends that truly cared for her, no money left to give, and she became useless in the eyes to her acquaintances. So all these people that she thought she was friends with basically just dumped her now that she's not really rich anymore. And near the end, she transformed into a disturbing echo of the beautiful heiress she'd once been. She spent most of her time in bed, drinking Coca-Cola and chain smoking. Real. After what she's been through, yeah. Lay in bed and chain smoke and drink Coca-Cola. Like, I'm not going to judge you for that. Oleg Cassini remembered she was very thin, gone. The spirit was gone. The life was gone out of her. And then she passed away in 1979 at that hotel. She died from a heart attack when she was 66. One biographer wrote that at her death, she had $3,500 left. But some close to her say that that was not the case. She is also buried at that same Woolworth family mausoleum in the Bronx that her grandfather is. And I truly, truly think the grief over her son killed her. Like, I think a lifetime of stress and drugs and eating disorders caused her health to be in poor condition. And then when her son passed away, like, it was just done after that, because she passed away 7 years after her son did. That's not a super long time. So this is an article about her, known as the poor little rich girl, died of cardiac arrest, 7 times married, 3 times a princess. Yet a symbol of the cliche that money does not always buy happiness. She said it herself once, "I hadn't a very happy childhood, though I had millions of dollars. I had no mother and no home." So yeah, very, 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 very sad. So the often hospitalized millionaires had been released from the hospital 8 days before being treated for pneumonia. So yeah, then it lists all of her horrible husbands, and yeah, very, 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 very sad. These are the sources. Even though there weren't that many of them, it was actually so confusing. Heart disorders are common with lifelong eating disorders. I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. That would be very strenuous on your heart. That was horrible. That was truly horrible. Like, that wasn't funny at all. Like, there were moments that we laughed and made funny, and like there were some things she did that were petty and funny, but like that literally is just so sad. This woman's life makes me incredibly, incredibly sad. I'm glad that you guys have to know about it too, so that we're in it together, but it still just makes me incredibly sad for her. Like, I wished I could have a moment and be like, and then it all ended up okay. It didn't. Hate to say it, but it didn't. So next week, we are doing influencer apology videos. What we're going to do, I'm definitely going to include these 3. I think I'm going to pick 2 more. I think 5 is a good number. I'm going to give you like what happened. We're going to go through the scandal, and then we'll watch the apology video and decide if it's going to make me cry. A quick trippy parking lot. No one in her life saw her, but we did. I'm genuinely going to cry at that because, like, that's so true. That's so true. That is so true. Because I feel like, you just heard me take a screenshot of that. All these people saw her as money, saw her as an object, saw her as an heiress, but like I feel like all of us just saw her as like a person. And like, oh no, we're not going to talk about Jenna Marbles next week. We will not be doing that. But like, That's so true. We really did see her. I hope, Barbara, if you're looking down on this, I hope that you have peace. Like, rest in paradise and peace, Barbara. I hope that if you can see this, you feel like vindicated. Like, I hope you feel like we did justice to your life. What made me really sad is it was really impossible to find her things. Like, I wanted to find writing that she wrote or interviews of things that she said, but there just wasn't. It was all just people commenting on her life. And I really wish that I could have gotten like her perspective on things. But yeah, it's just incredibly, incredibly sad. So next week will be slightly less depressing. It'll be more like haha depressing and not like actually depressing. Her life mirrors all the horror stories of people who win the lottery. No, for fucking real. So next week of the influencer apologies, we'll definitely do the Try Guy one, some Paul Brothers stuff, and Miranda sings Colleen Ballinger. But if you have any other suggestions, I put a spot in the little game we're going to play where you can suggest things. So there will be a time for that. Also, I feel weird doing this, so be nice, because I feel very weird doing this, and I debated doing it like a million times. I've been debating this for like 2 weeks, but I'm just going to do it. Let's just talk about it. I'm being so dramatic. So if you have any moments from any of my streams that you're like, it makes it look like you have an apology video. Am I about to? So if you have any moments from any of my streams that you really, really liked, like either one short part that you thought was really funny, or you really got a lot out of, or you had a chat that you're really proud of, anything like that, there's no wrong answers here. And I said 20 to 180 seconds. That's 3 minutes. Honestly, I'll take as long as 5 or 6 minutes if you want to send it. I'm not gonna, that's fine. And so what I want you to do, clip a part of my stream that you liked and email it to me. I will pick my 3 favorites and give each of those people $50. This literally makes me feel like Mr. Beast. I feel so strange about this. I really, really hate this. So I'm just going to be transparent and tell you why I'm doing this because, yeah. Orphan Girl stream. See, a lot of you already have ideas. And you can send me more than one. Like, if you want to send me a link to a Google Drive with 10, go for it. And if 2 of yours are the best, I'll give you 2 of the 50. I'll give you $100. Like, I really don't care. Well, I do care, but you get what I'm saying. So I feel like this is so scammy, but let me tell you why I'm doing it this way. Because I thought about it. I was like, should I give $5 to anyone that sends one? But I was like, I only can really budget like $150 towards this. And what if tons of people send them or like whatever? I just felt like this was the best, safest way to go about it. So I want clips from my stream. I feel like this is such a fun space. This is like probably one of my favorite parts of my career that I've ever done. I value you guys so much. I value this community so much. I think that this stream is like critically important. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I really think it's historic. Like, I don't care if that sounds dramatic, but like, to me it is. Like, I think I've been doing this for 3 years at this point. The amount of information I have put on the internet is insane. The amount of things that I've gotten to learn about is insane. And I value this so much, and it makes me sad that so many people that follow me have no idea that this exists. And that's for a variety of reasons. It's hard to promote things. Live is hard. Like, I'm not upset at that for y'all, but I just, like, I want more people to be a part of that because I think it's such an incredible thing that I just want more people to be a part of. So I want more clips so that people can kind of see what our vibes are and see what it's about. Because to come to a 2-hour live event is like a hard sell, obviously. But if someone sees a couple clips, then they might be more inclined and kind of see what the vibes are. I tried to hire people to do this. I have tried 2 or 3 different people. The problem is video editors charge by the hour, which is completely understandable, but these are super long. So it gets extremely, extremely expensive. And then also, I feel like they don't really get it. Like, when I hire someone that's just a video editor, like, they don't get it, you know? So they pick random parts that I'm like, you know, and then I tried to use AI, but it's horrible. I literally did it once and it did a horrible job, so I just gave up on it. Could I do it myself? Yes. Takes a long time. Also, really don't like hearing my own voice. For some reason, when I edit TikToks, it doesn't bother me. I think because they're shorter, but because with this, like, I spent hours researching it, and then I did like the live, I'm just kind of done talking about it. Like to me, I've like learned so much, and especially with the depressing ones, I'm just like, I don't want to hear about that right now. So I don't really like to do it myself. And then if I hear myself like stutter or say like or I just like hyper focus on that, and then I get angry, and then it just takes 9 years because I'm angry. And I felt like y'all would know the best moments. Like y'all would know the moments that like the chat was incredible, like the drinks were flowing, we were all feeling good tonight. Not to put them on the spot, but I feel like Lemur Banana will really pull through. Me too. No pressure, Lemur Banana. If you send me nothing, that's A-okay. But you've been here for a long time, so I thought you would have ideas. So feel free to get creative. If you want to make edits, that's fine. If you want to compile multiple clips together, that's fine. Anything you want. One caveat, just to like protect myself legally. By submitting, you are agreeing that you may or may not be a winner. You may or may not get $50. It may or may not happen for you. And you're also giving me the right to post it, which to me, it's a clip of me. So I do feel that I'm within my rights to post that. But because it is going to take you all time and energy, I don't want you to feel exploited. So if you're looking at this and you're like, it feels like Miss Redacted is exploiting us, I'm so sorry. Feel free to not do it. But for some of you, I felt like you would think this was fun and you would like rewatch some of the old ones that you liked. So remember when we just watched Amy's Baking Company? Maybe not the most clippable, but one of my favorite nights. You want them vertical? Sure, whatever you want. Like truly whatever you want. Vertical works, not vertical works, whatever you want. That's like, I wanted to keep it very open-ended. Do you hate me for this? Genuine question. Do you hate me for this? Let's do a poll. Poll. And I can't see your votes, so I won't be mad. Hate me for this. It feels scammy to me. I feel like I'm using you all. I feel like I'm exploiting you. I like how you're all answering even though I'm doing a poll. No, this is fun and smart. Because I felt like who better to recruit new viewers than my current viewers? And then I didn't want to give you nothing. And then I thought about doing like a gift card, but I was like, I can just Venmo you $50. So it'll be on Venmo. So make sure you have Venmo. If you don't have Venmo, I'll just send you a gift card. You're teaching college classes for free. If anything, we're exploiting you. I was going to say I'm not qualified to, but now I have a master's, so technically I am. Real Housewives of the OC is one of my fave streams. I'm going to rewatch. Oh, Vicky Gunvalson. Oh, I love Vicky Gunvalson. Okay, so far you guys like it. All right, let me pull up our little frickin' game about what we learned tonight about Barbara Hutton, and let's do this thing. The 13th ring, thank you for subscribing. Use us, we want to see you succeed. This is just helping the folks find our community. Exactly. I sing your praises to literally everyone that I talk about this stream. I love the stream. I feel like the stream is an incredible place. We're going to do underwater. Okay. I'm glad that you all like it and everyone voted for it's fun because I didn't know how this was going to land with people. I could see it going either way. Let me put the link in the chat. This is just a little game. It doesn't cost money. You don't need a login. You don't need an app. Well, you can download the app. You don't have to have it. You don't need an account. I don't want your data. The directions are on the screen. The link is in the chat. I've been thinking about learning how to edit, so I appreciate this opportunity. And yes, so send it to me by the 19th. If you want to send it to me later, you can. It's just not going to be a part of this little contest that I'm doing. Yeah, you can always send clips without an interest in money. I'm always happy to get that. So like I said, send it whenever if you don't care about the money. If you are in it to win it, send it by the 19th. If this goes well and it seems like a good time, I might do another one in a couple months. So keep an eye out for that, I guess. But yeah. The TLC watch party is funny too, but maybe not the most clippable. Yeah, the one thing I will say is if we're watching a video, that I can sometimes get in trouble for like non-original content. But if you're looking at the YouTube, that's not even going to be there because they're already clipped out. So actually don't even worry. Don't even worry because that part's already done. I already did it. Let me just zip it on that. But yeah, this is a little trivia game about what we learned. Every week we do a trivia game at the end, and then you'll have time for memes and to upload any ideas for next week. Yes, I mean August 19th. And I'll post this on Instagram as well. Y'all are the first people. No pressure. I'm bad at explaining things, so you need to be more popular so I don't have to explain what this is to my friends. And this is hard to explain. And Britney Spears should be president. Well, actually, I don't know. She is, yeah. Britney Spears is an icon. I'll leave it at that. But yes, I feel like this is hard to explain. So that's why I want some good, like, 2-minute, 3-minute clips where it's like short and people can see it without like fully having to dive in. Because like to watch a 2-hour video is a lot. Because let me tell you why I was thinking this. I posted a couple YouTube videos recently that were like not the stream. Like normally I just put the stream on YouTube and that's my whole YouTube. But I posted like I posted a vlog and then me trying all the Fruit Riot things. And they didn't do well. And I was like, I think people like the long form. They just need to like learn about it. Like they just need to see it. I accidentally joined as an elephant, not an octopus, and Nearpod won't let me change it when I exit and retype the code. I'll get over it someday. So many of the kids in my class have gotten mad at that. Oh, I'll give this a couple more seconds. I have this stream in my phone calendar as history class. The octopus in the underwater helmet is very entertaining to me. Me as well. I'm hungry. You guys, last week I was telling you how I was excited to try that Ninja Creamy. It was so good. I made a similar one and it's in there right now and I'm gonna have it again tonight. I'm excited about it. And I got my nails done and they like always cut part of my finger every single time. Should I find a new salon? Yeah. But every other place I tried does the same thing and I don't want to pay a lot of money, so whatever. Okay. There's 33 of you in the game. I think that'll be everybody. Let's get this money. I misspelled my name and now I'm sad. I'm sorry. I need to charge my Fitbit. I've been digging the Ninja Creamy pics on your story. Yeah, I am really enjoying it. I'm going to be honest. Where did her family money come from? I tried to buy a Ninja Creamy on Facebook Marketplace, but everyone wants $200 for their used one, and Costco has it for $189. I think I paid $125 or $150, like low 100s, and it came with 10 of the little thingies. So that's why I was willing to pay over $100, because it came with 10 of the little thingies. I would not have paid over $100 for a used Ninja Creamy if it didn't come with those. I need to make sure my friend's wedding is in my calendar. Oh, it is. Look at me go. Oh shit, someone I went to college with had a baby. The hell you did that for? I mean, congratulations. Oh god, I'm going to hell. When did they get married? Oh my god, they've been married less than a year and they already have a baby. Like, not even judgment, just like stress. Did they? I don't think it was a shotgun wedding, now that I'm looking at the dates. Because this baby was born like a month ago, they're just now posting about it. Sometimes Instagram stresses me out. I have to wake up early tomorrow for work. I don't really feel like doing that. You guys are doing a good job in this game. I tried to make it not impossible. I just finished Gypsy Sisters today. I'm kind of emotional. I know that that's a slur, but that's the name of the show, and they call themselves that, so I'm just repeating what they said. That's not the best defense, actually. I'm glad y'all recognize my funny wrong answer choices. There's an Anthony Bourdain fan club on Twitter. Following. I want to do a stream about him, but honestly, I don't know if I can handle it. What is the stream after influencer apologies? Let me look for you. I actually don't know off the top of my head. Let me check the calendar. It'll be very history vibes. Bonus Expeditionary Force. That is when the US government shot a bunch of veterans because they were asking for their paychecks in the Great Depression. So very history vibes. A golden age of Hollywood gossip would be a cool stream. Alrighty. Kamika number 1, Katrina, Rat, Caitlin, Demented Wife, carrying this grant to the bank, a divorce lawyer's parking lot, Seknal, Claire, Elizabeth, Emily, a Dutch Bros parking lot, Mac 123, CWAB, S.A., Vicky Hutton, 1-800-MEGAN, famously broke Linda, poor little parking lot. I finally got on the board and I messed up my name. Nice job, nice job, nice job. Oh my god, Kamika, you were late and you still got it? That's what I'm fucking talking about. I swear I know how to spell divorce. I was distracted. All right, memes, anything to add? Any ideas for next week? And then I'm out of here because I'm tired. I am tired. They what? Oh, the they what was in response to the government shooting at veterans. Yeah, crazy. The 7 husbands of Barbara Hutton. Please, please. Saving. Saving. Saved. Belle Gibson, fake brain cancer girl. Jesus Christ. My fave clip was the bling ring phone call and it got cut because of copyright. No! That's why this is a challenge. Trisha Paytas could be a whole stream. She could. She is on the stream list. But I'm waiting for her to do more stuff. I just feel like I can't even keep up. Me listening to new characters. Barbara's life story. Oh, Tana. Tana's a good one. This entire stream, I have something to say about that. No, literally, it was just so bad and just kept being bad and just kept going. Like, the badness just kept going. I love that they used her cunty pic for the book cover. Yeah. But it is the best picture. Especially with the dress. You get me. This was so depressing. Barbara after stealing her 20th husband. Who's gonna check me, boo? Lucille. Y'all are on fire with the memes tonight. I'll give it a couple more seconds. I was about to leave, but then I saw that Real Housewives of Atlanta meme. Yeah. Elite memes. Y'all crush it on the memes. Y'all crush it on the memes. Truly. Alrighty. This was a grand old time. I will see you next week for influencer apology videos. I love you so much. If you want to do the clip challenge, I'll post more details on Instagram, but basically just email me a clip and